And we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are now going to talk about the games for today. So obviously we have two games because of the Bills Steelers game being moved to today now. That'll be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. And then of course you have the Buccaneers and the Eagles game. That'll be later tonight. That's at 8:15. That'll be on ABC. Well, again, Eastern time, and that will be on ABC and ESPN. So, yeah, 8:15. Actually, might just be on. Well, it says ABC, but I think it's also on ESPN too. So no streaming services, thankfully. We'll talk about the Chiefs Dolphins game tomorrow. The Chiefs winning that game, 26-7. That was kind of the playoff game that really didn't have that had like the least amount of juice so far. Other than like I guess the weather and Patrick Mahomes' helmet breaking. It's just kind of went as expected. So we'll get into that tomorrow. We'll talk about that. But the other games I thought of course more important. No disrespect to the Kansas City Chiefs winning again, but yeah, I just thought talking about them more. And plus, we got games tonight, too. So, but yeah, so we got two games. So we got the Bills and the Steelers. I mean, I talked about it on Friday. Listen, it just, I mean, it would have been, I mean, we'll see how the field is when they play, but it would have been cool to kind of see them playing in the snow, like, as it's snowing. But, I mean, they would have been playing in a full-on blizzard, and you wouldn't even be able to see the field. But it was also, I mean, they moved it because, it was going to be hard for fans to get to the stadium. So, I mean, then again, we saw how the Bills played in the snow last year against the Bengals. That did not go so well for them. So, yeah, I mean, the Steelers, this is going to be a tough game for them. I think this is a tough spot. I talked about it on Friday. I mean, they basically got to do something similar to what Green Bay is going to do, but they're going to have to play. I mean, Green Bay ran the ball. That's what the Steelers are going to have to do. But I mean, you can't compare Jordan Love to Mason Rudolph. Jordan Love is the much better quarterback. And Mason Rudolph has played well in the games since he's replaced Mitchell Trubisky. He's one of the reasons why the Steelers are in the position that they're in right now, being in the playoffs. But we saw how that Steelers offense played in the bad weather against the Ravens backups. I mean, it wasn't good. I mean, they still won the game, but other than that big play to Deontay Johnson, that offense really didn't do much. So this is going to be a tall task for Mason Rudolph in that offense. And on top of that, you're missing your best player in T.J. Watt. So I don't give the Steelers a good shot in this game. Again, keep on saying this. My dad is a Steelers fan, so of course there's some rooting interest in there for the Steelers. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. But what they're gonna have to do, Minkah Fitzpatrick's playing in this game. They're gonna have to force turnovers. That's what they're gonna have to do. And Josh Allen, he should turn the ball over in this game. Now, I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to try to ride James Cook in this game, with the weather being the way it is. And listen, James Cook has had some really good games this year. I mean, you go back to the game against Dallas. So, I mean, we could see Josh Allen kind of taking a back seat and then just handing it off to James Cook and basically saying, all right, Steelers, try to stop him. And if the Steelers can't stop James Cook, well, then the game is pretty much over. So we'll see. I mean, this is an extra day for both teams to prepare. Again, the Bills are, they're banged up on defense themselves. So maybe the Steelers can take advantage of that. I don't know if they're going to. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of running the football in this game. Last year, I know, of course, when they played earlier in the year, I mean, the Bills just absolutely destroyed them. They won 38-3. Kenny Pickett started that game. I don't know if we're going to get that unless, Mason Rudolph turns the ball over himself, which I could definitely see that happening. He hasn't thrown a pick, but did fumble a few times against the Ravens last week. One of them was recovered by the Ravens. Um, so we'll see if Rudolph throws a pick in this game. Um, but yeah, I mean the Steelers basically got to do something similar to what the Packers did: is you get the ball first, go down the field, score 7 points. Put the pressure on the Bills to answer. You know, again, easier said than done. I mean, listen, the Packers were able to do it. I said that's what the Packers got to do, and look what the Packers did. They won. But again, that's in a completely different kind of atmosphere. You're in a dome. You got a better quarterback. Um, but Najee Harris, he's run the football well since Rudolph's taken over. Jalen Warren has had good games for them too. They got a nice 1-2 combination there. Um, we'll see. I mean, you got to get the ball to your playmakers. Again, easier said than done. But I don't know. It's a bad matchup for the Steelers. They're favored. The Bills are favored. I think the line went up to 10. Yeah, so it's 10. It started. What did it start at? No, at least on CBS it was at 10 and it stayed at 10. I think in my spread pool, I think it was like 9.5. Yeah. So the Bills in my spread pool, it was at 9.5. But yeah, so it's at 10. Um, I mean, I don't know. I think the Bills are gonna. I mean, listen. I don't know what's. We saw what happened over the weekend. I mean, anything can happen. The Cowboys Packers game will tell you that. But I think the Bills win by multiple scores here. I feel like if T.J. Watt was playing in this game, I mean, he could wreck the game on his own and score a touchdown. I mean, he did it a couple years ago against the Chiefs. I feel like if he was playing in this game, he'd make a play, and that would lead to a Steelers score. But yeah, it's tough, and the Steelers are 1-10 without T.J. Watt. So yeah, it's a tall task, so we'll see. But I think the Bills win, and they cover the spread, so I'm sticking with that. And then as for the Bucs and the Eagles, there's actually new news regarding that game. So there's no A.J. Brown in this game. He will not be playing here. So that's a big loss for the Eagles, and especially the way this team's been spiraling out of control. That's not something you want to hear. You still got Jalen Hurts dealing with the finger injury. It's this game. I don't know what to expect. I really don't know, because you look at on the Bucs side. I mean, they were playing good football. Baker Mayfield was playing well, and then these last two games, the offense just disappeared. And they won the division, and you give them credit for that, but they only beat the Panthers 9-0. So now going into this game, I don't feel great. I think the Eagles are still going to win, but I think it's going to be a close game. And listen, I'm hoping that the Bucs win, but I still think it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game for both teams, because you got one team that's just been spiraling out of control for weeks, and you got another team that now offensively has been struggling a little bit. But they're back at home. I think Darius Slay is back for this game for the Eagles, so that helps. But yeah, I don't know what to expect. I expect it to be a close Eagles win. I don't know what to expect. I think it's going to be a close Eagles win. But if the Eagles lose this game, I mean, we talk about the Cowboys and changes that. Well, I mean, the Cowboys are going to definitely make changes. I mean, they have to. I mean, the Eagles might have to have some conversations, like maybe, defensively and offensively, but might have to have some conversations about the head coach, because for weeks now, that's what, Eagles fan base, I think, is saying too, is like Sirianni's not it. And when you got some of these head coaches out there like Harbaugh and Belichick and Vrabel, excuse me, you might say, all right, well, we're going to pull the plug on Sirianni and we're going to go get these guys. Even as a Giant fan, I mean, I if you can go out and maybe get Mike Vrabel or Harbaugh, I mean, I think I'd probably pull the plug on Dable, but we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But for the Bucs, I mean, let's see. I mean, Baker Mayfield's banged up too. I mean, he's got I don't know if he's still dealing with the rib injury. Probably is. Um, both quarterbacks are banged up. But we'll see. I mean, the last time they played each other, that was all the way back in that was in week 3, and the Eagles, they won that game, and that also was on Monday night. Now it's Monday night again. So ESPN got stuck with the Eagles Bucks twice on Monday night. So yeah, we go back to that game. Eagles were 6-point favorites in the game. 25-11 was the final score. Hurts actually threw 2 picks in the game. Passed for 277 yards, 1 touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown, no surprise there. DeAndre Swift had 130 yards rushing in that game, so you would think maybe they're going to try to rely on him today. A.J. Brown had 9 receptions for 131 yards. You're not going to have that, so other guys, Zacchaeus, Devontae Smith, Goddard, they're going to have to step up. Then on the Bucs side, Baker Mayfield went 15-25 for 146 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Rashad White only had 38 yards rushing. Mike Evans was, of course, their leading receiver, 5 for 60 and a touchdown. Bucs had 1 sack in the game. That was by Levante David. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, these teams are definitely different since the last time they played. Although now the Bucs are struggling offensively. So, we'll see what this game brings. We'll see what both of these games bring today, and then we'll be set for the divisional round. At least the matchups that are set. I mean, I think there's only one. Yeah, there's only one that's really set, and that's Packers 49ers Saturday night. These 2 games we're gonna figure out, because if the Steelers win, then they're gonna play the Ravens. And then the Texans are going to end up playing the Chiefs. But if the Bills win, Bills play the Chiefs next Sunday in Buffalo, which I hope that's the outcome, because I'd like to see Mahomes have to go on the road and play the Bills in Buffalo in the playoffs. That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, so, and the Texans, they're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. And then with this game, the night game, the Lions are kind of just waiting on who they're going to play, whether it's the Eagles or the Bucs. And so by the end of today, we'll see what the next round of playoff games will bring us. Hopefully we see some good games today, although I'm not really. I mean, I think the second game is going to at least be close, but I don't know if it's going to be a good game necessarily. Probably see some turnovers. You're going to see turnovers in both games. I mean, you just are. We'll just have to see how it goes. But again, just hoping for good games. That's really what it comes down to. So during of course over the course of the week, we'll recap the games tomorrow, of course, from today. Talk about some of the other performances from the games this weekend. Obviously I didn't really talk about Chiefs Dolphins today. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Also the coaching carousel, any reports of where some of these big names could be going, because it looks like Jim Harbaugh might be coming back to the NFL, which was something that's been speculated, especially now with Michigan winning. You also saw J.J. McCarthy. I think he declared for the NFL draft. So Michigan is going to be going through some changes with now some of these guys leaving. Their head coach now and the quarterback. Keep an eye on that. Of course, Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel. There are some big names out there. We'll see if head coaches that haven't been let go. We'll see if they are let go. I mean, earlier in the show, like we were talking about the Cowboys. I mean, I expect there to be changes. And I'd honestly be surprised if Dan Quinn ends up with another head coaching job, because the way his defense played yesterday, I mean, you do not deserve to be a head coach after that. You don't. But maybe a team still gives him a job. I think for me at least, he should at least be let go by Dallas, because that was bad. That was bad. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. So until then, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.